Actually have two other species of grass to talk about. Blaine talked about big bluestem. We have two other kinds of bluestem. The one I'll talk about first is what I like to call the state grass of eastern Oklahoma. It's broomsedge bluestem. You've heard it called sage grass, sedge grass. This is what typically you will see as it's not readily grazed by cattle except for early in the season. A really straw colored leftover growth from last year. So different from big bluestem, it has a fairly flat leaf blade. It will have a few hairs on it, but this is the characteristic of broom sedge. Now the other plant is little bluestem, which I have some of last year's growth in my hand as well for comparison. Sometimes they're confused. The broom sedge has a more of a straw color and a little wider leaf blades on last year's growth. It's also weaker rooted. If you ever try to pull some broom sedge out, it pulls out fairly easy compared to little bluestem. This is the vegetative growth of little bluestem. It grows in a tight bunch. Again, this is last year's growth off of it. A flat leaf base with typically no hair on it. From a forage value, we mentioned broom sedge doesn't get grazed much. If it's burned and grazed early in the season, cows will use it. Little bluestem is a little better quality. However, when it does get the last year's stalks in it, cows might avoid it somewhat. That's why it's important to manage your grazing and incorporate fire to keep it fresh and keep the last year's growth. However, that last year's growth is important for ground nesting birds, if that's one of your priorities. So it's a really dual purpose wildlife and cattle plant, and that's a little bluestem.